Death, taxes, and Aljo. I said it from the beginning. I'll say it till the end. Welcome back to the Dogger Pass podcast, brought to you by the Mayo Media Network. I'm Madlab. Please like, subscribe to the channel, comment below. Be nice, and let's have some fun here. Let's try to win some money this week. I do want to do a little bit of spring cleaning before we jump into this card. Total transparency. I mean, I did not have a good week last week from a pick perspective. I mean, if you guys followed the breakdowns in the main event, I mean the main card, I mean, I lost the Edwards fight. I picked Norma, Rafa Garcia, Davey Grant, Honey Barcelos, Ryan Spann. Like, I was literally off the mark with a lot of my picks. The analysis was good, but my picks, the conclusion I came to was not good. However, the reason why we salvaged our week, because I had my biggest bet of the year on Aljamain Sterling, 2026 so far, and that cleaned up a lot of stuff for me, which was great. It's really how you end, right? So overall, though, I'm not going to sit here and beat my chest over the Aljo fight, even though, like I said, I want to touch on it a little bit. But from a pick perspective, I'm not too happy with my performance. But like I said, that was the biggest wager of the year. That cleaned a lot of things up. Another thing I do want to bring up is this is a story as old as time. I've been talking about this for over 5 years, and I used to get literally hate mail from people on Twitter, and you're crazy and you're just a hater because you're a striker and you're a boxer at heart, so you can't stand Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And that can't be furthest from the truth. Like, I love all martial arts. I've trained in Brazilian jiu-jitsu when I was even a kid. I trained in karate and stuff like that. But yes, I am a boxer at heart, but I also speak truth. And I kind of left my entire constitution on that for this card, because when you look at pedigree and you look at the levels of pedigree, sometimes you hit a certain level of pedigree where you're like, all right, well, you kind of against this person can't miss. They just can't kind of shoot themselves in the foot. So what do? I kind of lean a little bit this week on some of the highest pedigree Brazilian jiu-jitsu practitioners in mixed martial arts, and they completely shit the bed. Vieira loses. Buchecha loses. You don't get much higher than Buchecha, and he doesn't even know how to get hooks in, or he looks like he's lost out there. So what I said 5-6 years ago was, I used to say all the time, like, Brazilian jiu-jitsu is going to become very obsolete in mixed martial arts. It's going to be a good component to have in certain situations, but it's not going to be anything you're going to want in your forefront. I said that you're going to see all your champions coming forward or coming out are going to have very good boxing, because it's the hardest thing to learn when it comes to creating traps and setting angles and making reads and learning distance, and obviously wrestling. And then you're going to have Brazilian jiu-jitsu that's kind of just sitting in another tier. It's going to be in addition to your arsenal. And look what's happening. I mean, you can have the greatest Brazilian jiu-jitsu in the world. If you can't get it to the ground, that you don't have hands or you don't have instinct, or what good are you? I'd rather have a really high pedigree boxer coming in that understands how to, understands takedown defense and range and knows how to keep distance. You're going to be far more effective. Wrestling, different story. I said the two things that you're going to need is, you're either going to need a very high pedigree striker that has really good takedown defense and some ability to wrestle and scramble out of situations, or you're going to have to be a really good chain wrestler with a good gas tank that could just continue to mow you down. Other than that, the Brazilian jiu-jitsu is really just, I'm not ever going to say an afterthought, because it's amazing to watch and very high skilled guys. And there's a lot of weapons that you can use, especially in scrambles and stuff like that. But that's on a third tier now. It's literally on a third tier. And my point was proven. Unfortunately for me, I ended up going against my constitution and biting into the bitter apple. But the Aljo fight, I just want to touch on that a second. I didn't understand why so many people were so confident in Yusuf Salal. Like, for me to put my biggest wager in of 2026, I do that all the time with Aljo. Aljo's won me the most money in any fighter for a long time, and it's basically because of the fan hate. You either hate him or you love him. There's no in between with Aljo. He's got a lot of haters for whatever reason. I don't know why. They refuse to just admit that this guy is an amazing fighter with amazing skill set, and they just want him to lose. So in turn, what they do is they bet against him, which is one of the most maniacal things you can do as a gambler. I mean, that's like gambling 101, never bet with your heart. And with Aljo, people do. And we benefit from it, because we ended up getting him at plus 125. The line closed a little bit, but he still closed as a dog, which he should never close as a dog. He should have been a minus 150, at the very least. And he wasn't. So, lesson learned. But now, after that performance, after literally running roughshod on Yusuf, you will see him again get a line that he doesn't deserve. It's an Aljo thing. So hopefully you guys don't fall into that trap. Hopefully you don't listen to so many of these outlets that just really have Aljo hate. And if the matchup is proper for him, you make some money off it. And I hope you guys did make money off it. But now we move on. We move on to a card in Australia. And I got to be honest with you, I'm not crazy about the card number 1. But number 2, this thing on the West Coast starts at 1 a.m. So it's at 1 o'clock in the morning, which means the main card probably going to start around 4:30. So am I going to stay up for it? I'm going to stay up to a certain extent because I'm obviously going to watch the Inoue fight. That's in Japan. So that's going to be on late. So I will watch split screen in both of them. But am I going to be awake for this entire card? Probably not. This is going to be something where I'm going to open my phone in the morning and I'm going to pray to God my wagers hit and, I'm a couple $1,000s richer. Or not a couple $1,000s poor, I should say. So that's basically what you got here. Some of you guys, I'm sure, will pull all-nighters and stay up for it. I'm going to stay up as long as I possibly can. I mean, obviously, I could sleep in the next day, but I'm not going to fight to stay awake for this card. It's not like I might set my alarm for the JDM fight, see if I could time that perfectly, like the main and the co-main, but nothing you guys need to pull an all-nighter on. Set your lineups for DraftKings, put some wagers in, hit the hay, once your body collapses. But that's what we're dealing with here. So we're going to jump right into it, though. Oh, before we go into that, I cannot let this go. I cannot let Dayton get away with this. Dayton, when he started to do his dog pick of the week, Dayton's first pick was Eric McConaughey. Eric McConaughey fights this week, and instead of going back to the well, he doesn't even go near him. So you need to come in here and explain yourself, sir.
Yeah, no, not only did I go Eric McConaughey for my first ever dog, it was Eric McConaughey plus 305. So like the line wasn't even pretty at all. I'm pretty sure I took Zelezniakova this past week.
You did. You got rage baited into the blonde hair Romanian.
Yeah, and it obviously fucked me over. So I don't think I'm gonna do that again. And if McConaughey is ever back on a card, I'm definitely picking him.
Bro, he's definitely going to be back on the card. That was a big win for him, dude. But that was the first thing I thought about, bro. The first thing I thought about when he started leading the parade, and I was like, bro, he's going to win this fucking fight. I was like, dude, Dayton didn't pick him this week. I'm like, how do you not go back to the well on that, dude? You would have been, think about it, that would have been your boy, dude. You would have been 2-0 with McConaughey.
Yeah, now I'm 3-5 on the record.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm going downhill.
Yeah, it's all right.
Before we get into this, I like this blue lighting you got going on there. It looks good.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, dude. Yeah, I turned them on. I always have them. I just never turned them on. I figured give me a little depth. All right, man. Let's jump into this main card. We're gonna do the entire main card for you guys. Like I said, not a great main card, but let's hope my picks are a little bit better outside of the main event than they were last week. So we got JDM coming in at plus 100, former champion, and you have Carlos Prates coming in at minus 120. The over and under is plus 140, 4.5, and the under is minus 185. I think I would like to see those. I can understand those lines, but I think the line probably should be flipped to maybe 120, 100 the other way. And over and under, I do agree with. I could see this fight going to the cards, but I could also see someone finishing each other. When I look at this fight and I look like Carlos Prates, like I went through, obviously I saw all his fights, but you got to go back and you got to refresh yourself, and you got to, see the do's and the don'ts, because now you're watching it for a different purpose, right? You're watching it to actually break it down other than just like kind of watching the fight. So, when I started watching his film and I really focused on the fight with Ian Gary, because I think that's giving you your best sample size when it comes to the closest kind of style. This is like more of a striking match. And the one thing I did notice with him is he will hunt you down. Like he is a guy that's going to mirror you. He's going to track you down. but he doesn't let his hands go in bunches. He really is patient, especially in the beginning of the fight. He's kind of patient. He'll kind of hunt you down. He'll make his reads. He'll let his hands go a little bit, but he's not overall throwing these bags of punches at you in one clip. He kind of allows you to do that. He kind of allows you to kind of, even though you're on your back foot, he's going to let you unload your bag a little bit, and then he's going to start moving forward and unloading the bag. And but with that, he stays on the pressure. So in essence, he's coming forward, but he's playing a little bit more of a counter game as he's coming forward. As he's making his reads, he's playing the counter puncher. So when you have a situation like that, you got somebody who's kind of sitting back on their laurels a little bit. They're not really letting you see everything. They're kind of making their reads, they're downloading the data, but you can lose traction very quickly with a guy like JDM. And I'm going to get into JDM in a minute. That's the one thing I saw in the Ian Gary fight, where he was not hesitant, because this is his style. This is just what he does. But Ian Gary would come in, he would have success with a combination. He would be backing up. He would hit him with a couple shots. They would be more obviously optically appeasing and appealing to the judges and to the fans. Caught him with some nice uppercuts, started backing him up a little bit. Was able to mix in a couple takedowns when he's never been taken down in his career before. But, Prates just still does his thing. It doesn't look like he was getting tired. He looked like he could have went, like, believe it or not, like another 2 rounds. Yeah, I mean, he was tired. They were both kind of tired, but you had questions about his conditioning, in certain fights. And you're looking at that and you're like, well, he did rise to the occasion there. He didn't look like he was really slowing down. But when you look at his overall body of work and you look at how many times he's gone, 5 rounds and stuff like that, or even like 3 rounds, it's not much. He's really like a first or second round merchant in a lot of his fights. And a lot of the guys that he's fought, they don't apply that pressure like JDM does. He's going to try to apply a pressure to JDM, and he's got very good leg kicks, and he's got obviously good power. He's got power in both hands. He's had over 100 kickboxing fights. This is a guy who's just super seasoned. So he's been in situations where he's gone long, but now you're dealing with a guy in JDM who I think he's got a little bit of an axe to grind. I mean, they put him in a really no-win situation, against Makhachev. He couldn't get nothing really going. How do you get anything going with him? I mean, you work on all these things in camp. You're working on your striking. You're working on your grappling. Then all of a sudden, you got this guy that just takes you down at will and just kind of mauls you for 5 straight rounds. And the frustration behind that is pretty insane. But when you look at JDM and you look at his style, the way it matches up with Prates, you're looking at a guy who overall, yes, is more of a fundamental boxer. He's not a guy like Ian Gary or Prates, where he's kind of moving on his feet. He's kind of north and south. He's kind of a little bit more flat-footed, and he thrives in the pocket. That's where he thrives. He's not a guy who's going to thrive outside like Prates, where he's going to poke you at range, pop you at range, try to get inside a little bit, put you in a clinch, hit you with some knees coming up the middle and stuff like that. They like the movement. Guys like Prates, guys like Ian Gary like the movement. You look at a guy like JDM, this is a guy who he will move with you, but he'd rather flat-footed, let's get into the pocket and let's throw hands. And that's where his success usually thrives. And when I'm looking at this fight and I'm breaking it down round per round, I'm saying, is he hittable? Yes. Does he check leg kicks all that great? No, he doesn't. Can Prates capitalize on that? Yes. But one thing Prates does love to do is he loves to fight in the clinch. He loves to throw, dirty box. He loves to get in tight when he's not in space. And that is, I think, where JDM can thrive. I think JDM can hang with him in space. I think JDM can utilize his jab. I think he's the cleaner boxer. I think he throws better combinations. I think Prates has better movement. I think he's a little bit more fluid and loose. Probably even, a little more dangerous in space. But when it comes inside the pocket, that's where boxing comes in. That's where body work comes in. That's where, combinations to the head and coming up to the body and coming up with an uppercut with both hands, or just setting up these rhymes and rhythms that you get in and you get out. You get in first, you get out last. That's what boxing is about. It's about a lot of inside fighting, medium fighting and inside fighting. He's not an outside fighter, so I'm not even including that. But a mid-range, inside range, that's where, he makes his money. And I think optic-wise, it's just going to look better. I just think it's going to look better. Instead of having a guy that's kind of, moving around a lot and poking you and prodding at you and hitting you with 1-2s and backing up and throwing a kick and backing up, where JDM's going to be searching to get into that mid-range and get into the pocket, and he's going to be looking to lay hands on you. And optically, that should give him some rounds. Now you'll be in a situation where, almost like I said about Aljo, where you get into the later rounds, and now you have JDM leading the rounds, leading the dance, where it could put Prates in a position where I started a little bit late here. I know what I need to do. I'm not tired. I started a little bit late here, but now I got to hunt for a finish. You never want to be put in that situation. He was put in that situation against Ian Gary. Ian Gary swept the first 3 rounds. One card gave him 4 rounds. And then you had 2 rounds to go, and now you're stuck in a situation where you have to hunt. You have to get sloppy. You got to get desperate. And he did. And he ended up kind of lucking out in a way. He ended up clipping Gary. The crowd was going crazy. The announcers were going crazy. In fact, the matter, Ian Gary was not hurt. He was tired. Big difference. Was he getting caught with shots? Did he get caught with some ground and pound? Was he probably, if there was another minute left in the fight, could there have been trouble for him? Yes, but overall, he wasn't hurt. He had his wherewithal. He was doing all the right things. He was just completely gassed out. But at the end of the day, you still put Prates in a situation where he had to get desperate and he had to hunt for the finish. You never want to be in that situation. You always want to be the guy up on the cards where you want to finish. But at the end of the day, if you want to skirt the cage and you kind of want to drift the real estate and stuff like that, just to coast for the last two minutes or the last round, you have that luxury. So I'm going to go JDM here. I'm going to take the dog again with JDM. I think he's got something to prove here. I think that the home crowd is going to give him a little bit of a boost. I think you're going to see a lot of things that he worked on in camp for the Makhachev fight that he wasn't really able to expose and show, and I think he's going to utilize that. I also think his grappling too, in a sense, both of these guys got good takedown defense. They know how to survive on the ground. Look, he went 5 rounds with Makhachev. Makhachev couldn't finish him. Mauled him, couldn't finish him. So they're both very aware on the ground. I think if this fight does go to the ground, it's going to be one of these guys just changing the pace a little bit, kind of exchanging the stove, going to another burner, just to see, like, let me give him the look. I'm not having that much success, or this is kind of even on the feet. Let me try to steal around, or let me just try to change the look to show him that I will take it down if I have to. So, and that could be on either side. I think it's a really good fight. I think it's a close fight, but I trust JDM down the stretch more than I do Prates. I've seen JDM go into these long-winded wars and stuff like that, where I haven't really seen it from Prates. I know he can do it, but is he going to continue in that gear, or is he going to get desperate the last couple rounds when he needs to before the fight starts getting away from him and start applying a little bit more pressure? You can't just apply pressure and not let your hands go. You got to apply pressure with the intent to let your hands completely go, and I just think JDM's more willing to do that. So give me JDM here. I'm going to say JDM by decision in a close fight. I think it's going to be a fun fight, but I do think it's going to be a close fight. I think if there is a finish in this fight, it's going to be either JDM really, really late, or I think Prates catches him with something sometime in the mid tier of the fight, like maybe a knee up the middle or something like that. So give me JDM. I'm going to go JDM by decision. Next fight, we move on to Beneil Dariush versus Quillan Salkilld. Beneil is a ludicrous plus 300 against Salkilld minus 400. The over and under is 1.5 plus 130. The under is minus 150. Beneil Dariush is a guy. Well, let's go to Salkilld. This is a guy who's getting a lot of steam. This guy's getting a lot of steam. And I never like that. I don't know why people do that to these kids. They put so much hype on their names, and then they don't live up to it. And then they move on to the next guy. I mean, think about all these guys that come on the internet and stuff like that. And this guy's gonna be the next champion. Then they look what they did with Yuri. How many people thought Yuri was like the next coming to Jesus Christ, and now all of a sudden, like, now they're moving on to the next guy. Then they're going to move on to the next guy, or they're going to stand on their battleship and say, well, this happened or that happened. Like, every time a kid comes out that looks promising, they got him shielded as a champion. Salkilld is good. I'm not saying he's not good. He's really good. He's got sharp hands. He's got good boxing. He's aggressive. He's got a good grappling game. He's super young. He's got all the room to grow. I mean, I admit with all these things, but bro, fucking relax. Relax. Like, there's so much more that needs to be seen from these kids and from this kid. Like, you can't. People just got this kid crowned like he's this is a lock. This is a shoo-in. This fight is the farthest thing from a fucking shoo-in. The farthest thing, because the better fighter in this match, the better fighter is Beneil Dariush. He's the better fighter everywhere in this match. The only thing that he does not have going for him, and that's very scary, is he's getting older and his chin is really, really fucking suspect. That's the one thing. If Beneil Dariush had a chin, I would throw a bigger bet on Beneil in this spot than I did on Aljo this week at plus 300. If I knew he had a chin. The problem is he doesn't have a chin. His chin is kind of worn. It's never been fantastic, but it's there to be had, and you don't need much to capitalize on it. However, what I will say is this: Salkilld isn't this crazy power puncher. He's not a guy who's throwing this crazy amount of heat where he's having these one hitter quitters and stuff like that. He is kind of not a death by 1,000 cuts, but this is a guy who has to give you a little bit of tempo and a little bit of volume to clip you, then hurt you, then finish you. That's kind of the thing with him. Beneil is an extremely high pedigree kickboxer. This guy knows how to strike. He's fast. He's sharp. He's got power. So now if you take that and you put these guys together for 15 minutes, I'm nervous. I'm nervous if this is going to be a straight kickboxing match. 100% I'm nervous. But the one thing that people sleep on with Beneil is he is a really good grappler. This guy can wrestle. This guy's got phenomenal submissions. This guy knows everything about the real estate when he's on the ground. He is the better grappler. He is the better wrestler in this spot. So now if you're going to tell me that there's one path where he can avoid getting that chin clipped, stay on the feet with him a little bit, reach into his tool bag, get this fight to the ground, and he starts grappling with Salkilld, I think this is where the youth makes a mistake. I mean, this is where the youth makes mistakes. This guy has a world of knowledge. He's faced 50 Salkilds. He's faced this style or any other style numerous times. Salkilld is still grooming himself. Salkilld is still trying to figure things out. He's utilizing strong power points in his career as of now to get through these guys because these guys aren't on his level. But when you look at a guy like Beneil now, where this is a savvy veteran, yes, he's old, but he's still in shape. He's still fast. He's still sharp. He's still got power. He's a good kickboxer. He's extremely well-rounded, extremely respected, very good wrestling, very good grappling. Like now you got all these different things you got to stop and also produce offense. Okay, so my look at this is I'm looking at this fight is, okay, why is this minus 400? It's minus 400 because of you need to really believe that chin is going to get checked. Because if this goes 15 minutes and he can't hurt Beneil, or Beneil comes in very functional and starts having his way, in certain situations, where does he win the fight? He's not going to out-grapple Beneil. The striking, I'm going to say even, just because of the age and the speed and stuff like that. But so where it's the chin. That's basically what you're betting on. If you hit Salkilld into a parlay, or you're kind of betting that Beneil's chin is 1,000% going to get checked. Outside of that, I'm taking Beneil Dariush here. I mean, I think these odds are absolutely fucking insane. And I understand the liability with the chin. And I understand that it's not going to take much. But at the end of the day, this kid's got to prove to me that he could find Beneil's chin. He's also got to prove to me that he can out-grapple Beneil if it goes to the ground. He's got to prove to me that even though he doesn't have power, he's going to be able to outpoint someone like Beneil on the feet. Like, you take the chin away, and you got a lot of question marks now on Salkilld. I'm going with Beneil, man. I'm going with Beneil here. I'm going to say Beneil gets this one done in a big upset and humbles this kid and humbles a lot of people that are crowning this kid to be champion again. So, yeah, give me Beneil Dariush. I'm going to say Beneil by decision. All right, we move on. We got Tim Elliott versus Steven Erceg. Plus 215 for Tim Elliott, minus 155 for Steve Erceg. Got minus 240 is the over and under. Plus 200 is the under. Minus 240 is the over. So, listen, I'm going to tell you this about this fight. I don't like this fight at all. For numerous reasons. Steve Erceg is somebody now that I'm really questioning. Like, was he really fighting over his ability? Was he overperforming? Is he as good as like we advertised him to be earlier? I don't know. Like, I know he's fighting a super high level, of competition. I know that he is got clean boxing. I know he's got power. I know he showed durability. I know all these things. But at the end of the day, like, you can't sit there and have, you fighting these higher ranked guys and just continuously lose. Like, when does the point come where we start looking at you and saying you can't bounce back? Like, that's how you tell a good fighter. You tell a good fighter not when they're on a 5-fight win streak, 6-fight win streak. You tell a good fighter when they lose and they fucking bounce back. If they can bounce back, if they can just erase that off the board, or you become a Renan Barão. You got a guy like Renan Barão who won. God, shit. Go back and see Renan Barão's record. I mean, this guy won 20-something fights in a row, 30 fight, whatever the fucking it was. And then he loses that one fight to TJ Dillashaw, and that was it. He was just on like a 7, 8, 9 until he retired. He couldn't win a fucking fight. His confidence was shot. So you got to kind of wonder that with Erceg now. Like, where is his confidence? Can this kid bounce back? You know what I mean? And I don't know. Like, I never was crazy about his demeanor. He just looked like a kid who had a good skill set. He was winning fights. Some fights I felt like I don't even know how he won them, but he did. And now he's on a losing streak, and you got to wonder, does that personality translate to somebody who can bounce back and say, "Fuck this! I know who I am. I'm coming back. I'm gonna win some fights." I don't know. When you look at Tim Elliott now, you're looking at a guy who he's gonna have problems with. I mean, he's herky jerky. I know he's 39 years old. He's 9 years older. He's all over the place. He's got good, wacky, functional wrestling. His striking is good. A lot of movement in there. You can't kind of pin him down. You can't kind of make reads. He's just very all over the place. This is a guy, you want to talk about hard upbringings. This is a guy who had a really fucking tough life. I mean, this dude, not only did he have a tough life, I think it was his manager or his trainer. I think his trainer committed suicide at one point. And this is the fucking worst of them all. On his wedding night, his fucking fiance slept with his best friend. I mean, you want to talk about fucking brain games. And Joe Pyfer, but let's not forget about Joe Pyfer. Joe Pyfer, he came from nothing. I mean, but think about this fucking guy, the shit that this guy's been through, and he's still ticking, he's still fighting. But here's the problem with Tim Elliott, and this is why I wanted to pick him really bad here. And if you guys do pick him, I don't mind it, and I honestly, I kind of commend you for it, and I see the rhymes and reasons why you would pick him. But this is why I'm not picking him. I've picked Tim Elliott numerous times. I picked Tim Elliott in fights that he should have won. Okay, and after I say this, it might resonate with you. And he was winning. He would come out, he looked good in the first round, second round, a little bit close. It's kind of on the table. And then the third round, he comes out and he's just kind of looking at you, and he's making funny faces, and he's showboating, and you're like, bro, let's go now. It's 1-1. We got a third round. And he easily can go in there and do what he did in the first round or the second round, whatever, but he decides that showboating is more fun. And he loses the fight. There's nothing fucking worse than losing on a bet or a pick or a DraftKings play or anything when it's a 1-1 fight. He's got more gas in the tank. He had great success doing, certain things, but yet he's fucking showboating. He's putting his chin out there. He's laughing. You think you're saying to yourself, bro, you're not fucking scoring points this way. Like, the judges aren't looking at you smiling and saying, come on, and jumping around like a lunatic. Like, they're not scoring that. You got to go and you got to fight. And then there's some fights that he does do that. And then there's some fights he goes back to showboating. I just can't trust him. And you can't showboat with somebody like Erceg, because even though his confidence probably isn't where it should be, he still is dangerous. You still got to find him, because Erceg's not a guy that's going to look to find you. He's very, very flat-footed. He looks to, land, he's got very clean boxing. He's looking to land shots. He's got good functional wrestling. He's big. He's strong for the division. He's 9 years younger. Like, Elliott's going to have to find him. So if Elliott's going to sit on the outside and he's going to just sit there and he's going to laugh and he's going to wave him in and stuff like that, the clock's going to fucking bleed. They're going to go by that one or two most damaging strikes of the round, which would probably be on the Erceg side, and then Erceg's going to win the fight. So I want to pick Tim Elliott. I just can't trust him. I can't trust him. Like, you never know. Is he going to come and just be a showman? Or, Bobby Green does it. Bobby Green has done it a lot in his career, where fights that the third round's on the table. There's 2 minutes left in the fight, and you're fucking jumping around, talking shit, and you're not doing nothing. Like, Tim Elliott has that string in him. And I just don't know if I can trust that. This is in Australia, a super, super close fight. They're going to tip the cap to Erceg. So I think Erceg, like I said, he's younger. Hopefully he does bounce back because I like him. I think he's a decent fighter. And I think youth will prevail here. So give me Steve Erceg here. I'm going to say Steve Erceg by decision. I'm not seeing a ton of finishes on this card, to be honest with you. All right, next one. We got Shamil Gaziev versus Brando Pericic. Shamil Gaziev plus 110. Brandon Pericic minus 130. The over is plus 200. The under is minus 240. I can never in my right mind ever bet Shamil Gaziev again. I just can't do it. After that performance against Rosenstrike, like that left such a bad fucking taste in my mouth that I could never wager him again. I mean, that was one of the worst fucking performances I've ever seen. And it's hard because when somebody does that, when somebody performs that way, like they have it in them to perform that way again, especially in such a big spot. Like they have that in them to do it again. Like they're going to give up, they're going to be disgruntled, they're going to be in their corner fucking crying in their Cheerios. Like it's in there. It's in there. That's a wiring issue. Now, does it mean he doesn't have talent? No, he does. His hands are decent. If he gets his grappling going and he gets what he wants, he's very dangerous, for the division. Do I think he's an overall good fighter, someone who's going to make waves in the division? No, I don't. But to me, he's just not aggressive enough. After I saw that, I was like, dude, this guy doesn't like to fight fire with fire. He needs that ball to be rolling in his direction or downhill, and he's fine. Looks great. But once you give him resistance, once you get in his face and you tell him, look, like anything that you come at me with, there's going to be a repercussion involved. That's when he kind of you kind of sit back and you just watch it unfold. When I look at Pericic, this is a guy who I don't think he's very good. I mean, this is a guy I'm not looking at like, oh my God, this guy's, a big prospect. But the one thing he's very fucking aggressive, and he throws with a chip on his shoulder, and he throws with a lot of intent. And that's the guy I want to get behind. Like, you know what I mean? That's the guy I want to get behind. I would see this guy go out in his shield before I see him with a performance like Rosenstrike. Like that was fucking pitiful. And I know it was a while ago, but I just can't get that taste out of my mouth after watching that. And it was probably partially because I did bet Gaziev, and I did pick him in that spot. And that really put a sour taste in my mouth. But I did promise myself I would never bet that guy again. So I like Pericic here. I think Pericic is going to be the more aggressive guy. I think he's going to be the one more willing to engage in a dirty, mudslinging match, where Gaziev's going to be looking to keep it clean and try to take him down. If Pericic can't stop a takedown, Gaziev is going to have his ball rolling downhill, and he's probably going to win the fight. But if Pericic can stop the takedown, keep it on the feet, maybe, get on top of Gaziev, he's got a nasty ground and pound. He throws with a lot of violence. So I think Pericic can get this one done. I'm going to go Pericic inside the distance on this one. Just his overall aggression, I like his overall aggression over Gaziev here. And like I said, in a high pace, in a pressure cooker, in a high pace fight, I don't trust Gaziev's cardio either. So give me Pericic inside the distance. All right, we go to the last fight on the main card, I should say, is Tai Tuivasa versus Louie Sutherland. You got Tai Tuivasa minus 190. Got Louie Sutherland plus 165. Over and under, you got sitting pretty much even, minus 105, minus 115. Where do we go from here, boys? I see a path for both guys here. Tai Tuivasa, in my opinion, probably shouldn't be fighting anymore. I think he's fun. I know he's a crowd favorite. He does his shoeies. He does, he's funny with his Instagram. Some of the things that he's done in the past, like he's a company guy. He's a good guy to have on the roster. But when is like enough and enough? When you're just gonna learn, like he's not even a prototypical heavyweight anymore. Like the days of the Mark Hunts and the days, they were fucking fun. I mean, they were fun. Don't get me wrong, but those days are over. Like those days are over. So unless you have him on the roster, just not to be a mock, not to make a mockery of him, but unless you have him on the roster just to have like these chaotic barroom tough man competition style fights, there's no reason for him to be here. I mean, he's not a fighter that would ever evolve. He's aged. Look at his face. I mean, he's taken a fucking beating in his career. And like I said, the days of the Tank Abbotts and the Mark Hunts, and those days are fucking gone. Those days are gone. You get amateur guys in here now with wrestling and grappling and stuff like that, that will just chew him apart. Like he's there because he's a fan favorite. They got him coming in because it's Australia, because he'll get a big pop from the crowd if he he's opening up the main card, get the crowd ready, get the crowd warm, for the rest of the card. If he wins, they're gonna go nuts. He's gonna do the fucking shoey, Aussie, 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 that whole thing, which is great. But after this fight, I think he should really seriously consider just fucking walk away with your scruples, dude. Like there's no reason for you to fight. Louie Sutherland, on the other hand, I don't think he's good, but he does have like a wrestling base to him. He does have he does have power in his hands. He does have the ability to take this fight to the ground if he wants to. And even though Tuivasa does do a really good job, I should say, is like finding way. He's very athletic for his size. That I'm going to give him. He does find ways to get back to his feet, and if he stays on the feet for 50 minutes, I mean, he's got thunderbolts in his hand. But the fact of the matter is, if he gets taken down and he gets put on his back and it's in the second round, then he's tired, and it's just going to be like Sutherland's going to smother him. I mean, that's basically what it's going to be. So, look, I wouldn't hate you for picking Tuivasa. This is a guy, like I said, he's got the ability, he's got the power, he's going to always come to fight, he's going to fight for your money. All that shit is true. But I mean, it's only going to take one or two takedowns for Sutherland to get him to the ground and just kind of keep him there, just kind of and land those lunch boxes on him. So, although I do think it's a close fight, like I said, I'm not high on Sutherland at all. I don't think he's some great heavyweight, but he does have that one thing in his basket. He does have that wrestling in his basket, where if he does have success once or twice, the fight could be over shortly after. So give me Sutherland here. I'm going to go Sutherland to get it done inside the distance. But like I said, if you picked Tuivasa, I wouldn't hate you for doing so. All right. Now we move on to the section where we bring the disgruntled, the defamed, the regretful Dayton in for his dog pick of the week.
Well, maybe I might regret this one, but I'm going to be honest. I don't have a dog this week.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm looking at the numbers. Like I said, the only one I might touch would be Jack Della Madalena right now, sitting at plus 100. But other than that, I mean, maybe the Gaziev plus 110 doesn't look too bad right now. But I don't have an official dog for you this week.
Wow. A little upset about that. I feel like you're like Steve Erceg a little bit. Like you lost and now you're afraid. You're getting a little trigger shy.
I'm scared.
Right. All right, no, that's cool. That's all right. All right, how about this? How about you take a long shot flyer that won't count?
Okay. Then give me Beneil Dariush plus 300.
All right, so Beneil Dariush will be your long shot pivot flyer that won't count on your record. Okay, I like it. All right, sounds good. All right, boys. So listen, we have a lot going on this week. Late fights. If you guys are going to be out boozing with your girls, drop them home early. Maybe get home by midnight. You go watch from like 1 o'clock till you pass out. Maybe you put them to bed early, whatever. You also got boxing. You got heavy boxing this week. We have Inoue fighting over in Japan. That's going to come on around 1 in the morning, so you split screen your TV. You have Benavidez fighting, huge boxing slate. We're going to cover it all at the madlabmma.com, so if you want to come over there, check us out. Go to madlabmma.com. We got all the DFS. We got all the DraftKings. We have all audios. We have a Discord. We're going to have a full wagering blueprint for the UFC and boxing. And let's try to put some money in our pockets. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you think about the picks this week. Let me know if you would change anything from a pick perspective. But most importantly, what I really want to know is, who do you got in the co-main event? I want to hear what you got in the JDM and the Prates fight, but I am really curious to know what you guys got in the co-main event, because that's the one where maybe I'm completely fucking out of my bird, but I want to see if you guys are with me or against me. So, all right, you guys have a good week. Let's win some money. and I'll see you same time, same day